Well, I'm John Miramont, and I'm a recovering alcoholic. And I got involved with the O'Brien House through my sponsor. But when I first sobered up, I struggled for a long period of time. The thing that I see where the O'Brien helps so many people, and what I struggled with in the beginning was to carry us until that desire to drink has been lifted. In that beginning and that early part of sobriety is so important that you get that help. Well, my sponsor passed away, and Leroy Coulter is his name. And he was more than a sponsor to me. He was a mentor, he was a friend. He carried me on his back until I could actually walk through this process. And at his funeral, I was thinking the whole time, what can I do to thank this man for what he did for me? He loved the O'Brien House. He loved what the O'Brien House was doing for recovery in Baton Rouge. And I reached out to someone else in recovery who was on the board of the O'Brien House at one time, I think. And he said, John, let's make this a community thing. And we were successful in getting to our goal to redo the cafeteria, also repair the roof leaks that were in the building. And I'm just giving back which was given to me. When I sobered up, I had nothing. I had lost everything I had. I don't know, I always tell everybody, the only difference between me and the guy near the interstate is the interstate when I first sobered up. I really had nowhere to go. And I felt just like that guy. And I would imagine if I'd have drank for another year, I would have been nothing, that interstate. And then sometimes I was kind of envious of that guy. You know, I would think, wow, I could just drink all day long, don't have to report or talk to anybody. I wouldn't have any responsibilities. Sometimes I was jealous of those guys. Leroy helped me, and I'm just trying to help other people. And he taught me that, and that's why I got involved with the O'Brien House. And every time I see a guy that I know that's in the O'Brien House, whether he's working at a restaurant or somewhere else I frequent, it just gives me a warm feeling inside to know that it's working. And maybe the little bit that I'm doing is helping somebody, because my deal is not to help everybody, just to save maybe one person. If what I do helps one person get sober, stay sober, and then one day they give back. That's my whole purpose behind helping the O'Brien House, is maybe to help one person. All the people in recovery, and I know a lot of people in recovery who are professional people, who have done well since they recovered. And they should think about more than pro bono work. If you're a lawyer and you help out, that's fine, but let's write a check. If you're a CPA and maybe you can help them with the books, that's fine, but maybe let's write a check. I know for a fact that everything I have is because of my sobriety and God. I write a check. I give back. And if you've got the funds to give back, give back. You need the money to improve that place. You need the money to keep it going. Why can't you write a check for the O'Brien House? You know, we don't have the breakfast, write a check. You know, you get the breakfast next year. It's just like what's going on right now with professional sports. You can't participate this year, you can't sit in the stadium, but you wrote a check. Because people at the O'Brien House need that help, need that support. And for you in recovery, the only reason you have what you have is because of recovery. Don't forget that. The people in the O'Brien House need that help. So let's write a check. It's been a bad year. Let's don't make it worse. Let's write a check and keep recovery going, because, hey, we're all in this together. And the O'Brien House does great things for people. So let's write a check.
The first time someone said to me that I was an alcoholic, it was 2013, and I was 32 years old. I had landed myself in a rehab center in California after my very first week-long experience with binge drinking. The woman who was a counselor there and had graduated the program herself, was speaking to us as a group, 20 or so young women, some with blank looks on their faces, some smirking because it wasn't their first time on this merry-go-round, and a few girls like me with the deer caught in headlights look on our faces, stuck to our seats in the treatment center's one common room. The counselor continued, "You have to accept your alcoholism. Get comfortable saying it because you're all here for a reason, the same reason. You're addicts and alcoholics, and remember, once a pickle, never a cucumber." The words echoed in my ears, once a pickle, never a cucumber. It's hard to describe what changed for me this last time I went to rehab in January 2020. After 4 arduous years of painful loneliness, car accidents, mishaps, forgotten nights, and conversations, I had finished my schooling and graduated with a 3.4 GPA. I had completed 1 of 3 final exams and had moved back to New Orleans just in time for the holidays, depleted and broken. It was a Saturday. I had an exam scheduled for that morning, but my latest binge had selfishly stolen my study time. I woke a shambled wreck, reaching for anything to help me get out of bed. My mother called to wish me luck on my exam, and I explained that I wasn't feeling well and wasn't going to make it to the exam. She called again a few minutes later, telling me she was stopping by on her way home from work to check on me and was only a few minutes away. The doorbell rang, and in a moment of complete panic, I chugged 2 beers before rushing down the stairs to answer the door, except I lost my footing and split my head open on the rail. I landed head first on the tile floor, coming to consciousness from the banging on the door. The next thing I remember is waking up in the emergency room, frantically trying to rip out the IVs and whatever else they had stuck in me because my obsession was commanding that I needed a drink. But I wasn't going anywhere. The next day, I lay in that hospital bed, still covered in blood, but it felt meaningless. The 10 staples they had put in my head felt meaningless. The fact that I almost died felt meaningless. But somewhere in that roller coaster of chaos, the meaninglessness of drinking hit home, and I gave up and I trusted the universe. It felt so simple, so easy, just lying there in a hospital gown, being cared for. Rehab was an unwelcome surprise, but then too, between the cries and sobs and protests, there was a woman to greet me and soothe me, and as the elevator doors to the facility opened, I accepted. I hadn't even been 2 months sober when COVID-19 shook the world. I was afraid to be alone, afraid that torturous fear of the world and of life would come creeping back in. I immediately found a sponsor and step work. Zoom meetings and journaling were my saving grace. But what I realized was that I was connected. Instead of fear of life and world, I felt within myself the energy, the love, the moments that make us happy and even proud. The spiritual connection to something larger. The source that springs from within us, overflowing like a fountain, and blankets others in comfort and warmth and hope and awareness for this moment that we are alive. This thread that binds us all.
My name is Judy Levron. I'm a graduate of the O'Brien House. I graduated in 2016. Now I'm a direct care tech at the O'Brien House. It'll be 3 years in February. I've been working there. My addiction started when I was 14. I had lung surgery and I was put on pain pills. And from there, I started smoking marijuana. I never got to the hard stuff until I got married. After I got married, my husband worked offshore, and I had so much free time that I just did whatever came. I was shooting dope. I was smoking crack. I was I was in my bathroom smoking crack, and Strike Force came in. Yeah. So I mean, it was bad. I was selling everything in the house. I called the dope man. I said, "Come on and get it." He brought $500, and I sold him everything in my house. smoked all that crack. 2 days. And and then my husband decided he was going to leave me because he had put up with it for so long. Then I became homeless. And at that point, I just gave up on me. And I started doing all the bad things that crack leads you to. I don't have to say, I'm sure you know. There was this one time I went to my sister, and I just went to her trailer. I knew I had to get to that trailer, but I didn't know what I was going for. And when she saw me, she brought me to, it was a hospital in Raceland. And they said that my alcohol level was so high that I should have been in a coma. And they got me better, and I went home. And I just saw myself on the side of the street, doing bad things, and I couldn't do that anymore. I just couldn't. I was stealing. I was whatever. I just looked around, and I started crying. I said, I can't do this no more, God. I said, I need help. And then I went to court the next day. When he said, do you know what you did? I said, no, I don't. And he said, you kicked an officer. I said, yeah, right. And he said, you did. He said, now you get more time. I said, please don't put me in jail, because I just get out. I said, send me where I could get some help. So they looked and looked, and then after Center Court in Lake Charles accepted me. And from there I came to O'Brien House. And that's when my life really changed, I gave it my all. I talked with counselors, and I did everything they asked me to. I got a sponsor, and she led me through the steps. And then I stayed there 2 years, and that's when I got my job. And that's where I've been ever since. And I've just learned to manage money and build back relationships, start loving myself, got me an apartment. I got my driver's license. I'm working on getting a car. I'm grateful for my home. I'm grateful for my grandchildren, that I could buy them things. I'm grateful that I could see them. They love me so much. From the thing that I was to now, I'm very, very grateful just for the woman that I've become. Without the O'Brien house, baby, I'd be dead. I would be dead. Because that road was over. I didn't see anything. I didn't see any more road, Good.
Good morning. My name is Nancy Gautreaux, and I am the secretary on the board of directors at O'Brien House. I've been affiliated with O'Brien House for many, many years, and I'm very proud to say that I have. I retired from the Louisiana Department of Corrections and Public Safety and Juvenile Justice after almost 40 years of my life. During those 40 years, I witnessed the struggles of the incarcerated time and time and time again. What most people don't realize is that the incarcerated do go home. But it's when they go home that these struggles begin. The story of Huey and Angelina Wilson began when they married in 1949. Mr. Wilson opened his first business, a jewelry and watch repair shop. He often traveled throughout southern Louisiana selling jewelry out of the trunk of his car, while Mrs. Wilson maintained the city store on 3rd Street and Laurel Street. The Wilsons founded H.J. Wilson Company on Main Street in 1957. The company went public and expanded to 82 stores by 1971. At the time of its sale to Service Merchandise, H.J. Wilson had become the largest company headquartered in Baton Rouge, employing 10,000 people and spanning 13 states. The Wilsons established several other companies as well as the foundation, which first awarded grants in 2000. The Wilsons knew that the most disadvantaged people in our communities need the most assistance, so the foundation focuses on the sick and disabled, the indigent, and the formerly incarcerated. Through all of its efforts, the foundation invests in programs that seek to eliminate barriers and address the root causes of problems. Mr. Huey Wilson passed away in 2008 on his 80th birthday, and Mrs. Angelina Wilson passed peacefully in her home in 2016. By 2020, the foundation had invested more than $52 million in the Capital Region. One of the significant investments began in 2015 when the foundation launched a 3-year, $3 million prisoner reentry initiative. Prison reentry was an original concern for the foundation because Mr. Wilson had been personally impressed by the testimony heard in his church of a struggling, formerly incarcerated person. O'Brien House was proud to be a prisoner reentry grant recipient. We worked with the foundation leadership and other grant recipients to coordinate the reentry services in the Capital Region. The Wilson Foundation is dedicated and effective in their guidance and technical assistance to area nonprofits. However, they are unfailingly quick to point to the vision of their founders. The Wilsons understood the challenges that come with prisoner reentry, and they dedicated their services to break down the barriers to reintegration. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Louis Blanche, and I'm a member of O'Brien House's Board of Directors and a grateful recovering drug addict. I'm very honored to speak to you this morning. My path to recovery started at a place like the O'Brien House only 10 short years ago. I needed a place to go and start my life over. That's exactly what the O'Brien House does for the community of Baton Rouge. It provides all the essentials to basic living and drug and alcohol treatment. Now more than ever, we need to support this mission. 2020 has been a very strange year. We were already suffering the worst drug epidemic of all time, and now we have a pandemic to deal with. What this means for our addicted population is more hopelessness and fewer opportunities for them to recover. The addicted population needs a start over place like the O'Brien House. I get to see people come to the O'Brien House, start their life over, and begin to pick up the pieces of their life. When I see former clients from the O'Brien House out in the community getting their life back together, I feel so honored to be a part of this program. Operating a nonprofit treatment center in a normal year is very hard. Operating a nonprofit treatment center in a year like this is almost impossible. The need has gone through the roof and the resources have gone through the floor. Sitting in board meetings and watching the administrators have to make decisions that affect their clients because we don't have any money breaks my heart. That's why we have to take care of the O'Brien House. Giving in a year like this has got to be hard, but I urge you to invest in Baton Rouge and invest in the O'Brien House. There are many ways to give. You can give through our Venmo account, our PayPal account, or our website, or calling the office. Help us help them. Thank you so much.